This college football coverage is sponsored by Bob Moore Kia of Edmond.
Welcome, everybody. Recapping last week's TCU game. Just again, compliments to TCU. Won a hard-fought football game at their place. They made a few more plays than us, in particular down the stretch. The big play at the end, the interception for the touchdown, was really the difference in a tightly played game the whole day. When you look at each team offensively, had some big plays offensively. And then both teams defense played a little better in the second half. Get into the fourth quarter, neither offense scores, but they make the big play there down the stretch that really changed the game and gave them the lead. We weren't able to capitalize at the end on a couple of positive field positions. They're late. One drive was stopped with the interception. The other stopped on fourth down. Again, they made the key plays there at the end to win the football game. So as far as some areas for us, I didn't feel we played very, very smart. Again, without taking any credit away from them, there were some situations where we didn't play like we're capable of, just mentally, and some disciplines and technique, or locating and IDing their defense in certain ways, and some of our short yardage runs. So therefore, we didn't give ourselves the best chance to have an opportunity to succeed either. So those are some things we'll try and work on here this week to get better. One positive, again, was Sterling Shepard had another sensational day. Very competitive, made some tough catches, made some huge plays, overall in the way he played. This week with Texas, again, we understand with the rivalry, again, what a challenge it'll be. Went down there a year ago and got beat by 16 points. We're still very aware of that. I really think a lot, of course, and got great respect for Charlie Strong and the way he coaches. So I know he's going to continue to develop, continue to work that program. And I know when we go down there this week, we'll see a team that'll be very motivated and ready to play. And you watch them; they still have a lot of really good football players all over the field. You could see they continue to play really well in a lot of areas. I thought, in particular, defensively, they have really been strong. When you look at them in most all the defensive categories, they're near the top, and continue to play hard that way. And I'm sure, with Stoops, the more he continues to play, the more comfortable he's going to be. And so, again, a team that's very, very capable, and again, a team that just beat us just a year ago. So we've got a lot of work to do to improve ourselves here this week, and that's what we'll concentrate on.
What were your thoughts of your passing game Saturday?
Oh, I thought, in the first half it was really positive. In the second half it wasn't. We weren't nearly as consistent as we need to be. Everyone wants to – there's three reasons for it. At times we're getting pressured. We didn't protect as well as we have in some other games. At times it's an errant throw. At times we're covered. So it's a little bit of everybody.
Bob, did they do something scheme-wise that kept you from Trevor was in the pocket quite a bit. Instead of getting some of those boots and moving the pocket some, was that something they did defensively?
Not in particular. I mean, they always have edge pressure, but everyone we play has at times when they're bringing edge pressure. But again, it's not something that being outside all the time is going to work for you anyway. I mean, that you're talking a couple times a game maybe if you boot it. So obviously, Coach Heupel didn't feel comfortable doing it. But Trevor made a lot of plays outside of the pocket. He scrambled around and made quite a few plays, in particular in the first half.
Bob, you mentioned that your team didn't play as smart, and you also had the personal foul penalties and a couple of times. Are these things that can easily be corrected? I mean, can you get them back focused in a week's time?
I believe a lot of it is easily correctable in that some of it's just discipline and fundamentals. And I'm not going to detail it because then you're calling out these young guys, and that's not the right thing to do. So in the end, some of it is very fundamental in what we do, and for whatever reason, even guys with a lot of experience didn't do it very well, and so we got to do a better job coaching them, and they've got to do a better job being mindful of their disciplines and what we're doing.
On the 3 short yardage runs in the fourth quarter, I think you referenced them earlier. Were guys missing like a combo block, not able to reach the second level, or kind of what was going on there?
It's not. In a couple of occasions, we didn't identify properly on who we were going to, and again, without being specific and pointing out anybody, that just happened, and so therefore, you got a guy free, and that's where we broke down.
On the fourth down one, the last one, can you detail that one for us? No.
That same thing happened.
Just missed who was supposed to get that guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bob, in the first drive of the second half, you had a really good run-pass balance, went down the field and scored. I think the next 11 or 12 of the 14 plays were pass, with Trevor especially struggling a little bit and with the passing game struggling. Would you have liked to have stayed with the run a little bit longer over that stretch?
Oh, in hindsight, yeah, that'd have been a lot better, but that's not how it went.
What's your injury situation?
No different than a week ago. Unsure yet on about Keith's status until we get there. He's getting closer, but I'll announce that once I know for sure.
How much do you need Trevor's passing percentage to increase? He's about 53, 54 consistently. How do you need to get that? I mean, in modern day football, most successful offenses are into the 60s.
That's, again, just the efficiency of whether it's protection, route running. At times he's got to be a little more patient to wait for something to break open. And then at times, it's just the accuracy of the throw. So it's all of that.
In that vein, does he tend to stare at receivers too much, his first option too much, and not come off of it?
I'm not going to say that. I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and detail every guy's, what we're talking to him about.
You'd like for him to be more, I guess.
I'd like for us overall as an offense to be more efficient throwing the football.
Yeah.
In the first half, it appeared that TCU was really pressuring your receivers, inviting you to throw deep, and you made them pay several times. When you have that kind of a situation, is the home run ball that if you hit 2 or 3, you can live with some other maybe failures in the passing game if you can
But the way they play you in some cases and some of the way they defend you, that's what needs to happen. Yes, they're gonna get theirs in the way they're squeezing you, but you've got to have your opportunities to hit them. Unfortunately, we did, and that's the nature sometimes of the way they're playing you.
Bob, how did you feel your run defense or your defense handled the quarterback run game with Boynton that TCU used?
You had a couple of new runs that they hadn't shown before. Then we settled down really in the second half and played them okay. I don't feel like those were the difference in the game really.
How do you adjust during the game? How do you
guys
decide and say, hey, you've got quarterback on this? Or
yeah, and this is the way they're blocking it, and this is where we need to be, when they run it again.
It's tough when you haven't repped it, though, during the week.
It is. But, again, there's, it's not that magical to, to have, once you see it, okay, this is what needs to happen, and you try and make your adjustment.
Stoops has not thrown it particularly well, but he's athletic and can run the ball a little bit. Does he do anything similar to Boykin?
Sure, he can. They're going to run some of the same plays. The quarterback, zone or option or whatever you want to call it. I think I know in a lot of cases they're not looking to pitch it. It's more of it's a quarterback run play, and so he can do all the things that that we saw a week ago. So those will be things we'll prepare for.
Bob,
Zach, did his running ability make you hesitant to really rush him? It looked like you had a lot of 3-man rush in the second half, and you had a lot of time to throw the football.
At times, not at times because of the quarterback draw, you have to watch where you're in position, and and there's other times that we did chase him and he scrambled around and made us miss him. So there's always we're gonna have some occasions where we only 3-man rush, but we're gonna do that against everybody. We also did that against Trickett once in a while too.
You had one play where you had 0 rush. It looked like your line dropped back into.
And the one guy didn't rush off the edge that was supposed to, which he would have been the one unblocked and would have pressured the quarterback. again, we didn't play very smart in some occasions. We in that case, he was going to be the one guy unblocked, and he didn't go.
He turned out all right though, because he didn't have him. He threw
it
it
would have
away.
been a lot better with a sack, or someone right on him, and that didn't happen. So again, we did some things that haven't been characteristic of us through this year, that we weren't. Again, not taking anything away from TCU, we weren't like we have been overall either side of the ball, and playing in a smart way.
An example of that, Zach and Julian have been remarkable through the first 4 games, and they kind of struggled to start.
They didn't have a very good game. It's the best way to say it.
Not tuned in, or any idea?
It doesn't matter why. I mean, I'm not gonna. There isn't a reason why. They didn't have a very good day.
Those guys are some of your defensive leaders as well, right? I mean,
well, they have been.
What happened, Bob, when first half when you're down the 5-yard line and Trevor got sacked?
They brought a corner blitz. He's either can't take a sack. You got to throw the ball away. It's first down. We got and again, those are situations. The more he's in, that I believe in time he'll react to it better.
Is he supposed to? I mean, he had 2 receivers kind of going in that direction. Is he supposed to throw it in the seats, or would you rather have him try to fire it in there to make a play? Or
if he has the time, fire it in there and make a play. If the guy isn't open and the guy's coming, you fire it in the seats. It's one of those 2 things.
But do not take a sack.
I've already said that.
What about some of the issues getting in plays? It doesn't seem like that had been a concern all season, but Saturday it was.
Again, we didn't play as well as we had been playing overall in what our functioning of the game, and we didn't communicate well sideline to getting it on the field.
How do you improve that?
Well, it hasn't been an issue for 4 games, so let's do it like we did the other 4 games and be more efficient at it.
You know where the breakdown was, whether it was upstairs on the sideline?
It's a little bit everywhere.
I think at this time last year, Dominique was getting ready to make his first career start. You talk about how far he's kind of grown in the last year.
Yeah, Dominique has played really well. He had a good game again the other day. I thought a year ago as a true freshman to play as he did throughout the year, from the beginning, from the very first game, was really pretty remarkable in that position, because linebackers as safeties to me have the most really to know, and he couldn't have handled it any better, and of course he continues to play great this year.
Last year at this time, how anxious were you? It was right after Corey got hurt. How anxious were you guys for him that week? Was it just?
You're anxious because you got a true freshman, but what are you going to do? You keep preparing them, you get them, practice them, and you get them in meetings, and you prepare them as well as you can, and then you go let them play. And he handled it really well.
Bob, how did you grade the backs individually? How did Ross perform?
He did. He played well. He played okay, and Samaje did a really good job again.
On Sterling's long touchdown, it looked like he was in the slot to the left and ran a slant and go or a post corner. Is that a new wrinkle to this year? I know you guys have had that in your.
No, we've run it before.
With him,
maybe not with him.
Kind of disguise him a little bit.
We're trying to move him around all the time. To try and change. What his opportunities are.
The deep passes that he caught early, was that a result of what they were just showing you, or was the fact you were down 14 points and they just?
No, it was as a result of what they were showing us. The way they were defending us, we felt we had those opportunities, and fortunately they worked.
Sterling has done so much more than the other receivers, it seems, so far. Is that a matter of Trevor maybe being overly reliant on him, or those other receivers not progressing as much as they should?
I think we do have to make sure we're spreading it around more. I think Deron Neal had another really big game, though. He had 70 yards, 4 or 5 catches, so he made a big play down the sideline as well. So, so Deron has been productive. And the other guys have had their times. So, but you can't deny the effect Sterling has had. So that hasn't been a problem. We still can get more people involved, though.
Quick was in later.
Sorry, dude.
How would you characterize the development as a leader for Trevor Knight?
You know, he does everything you want as a leader. He's you know, first guy in workouts, last guy to leave. He's always upbeat, positive with everybody. He's always, you know, to me, the best leaders do it by example, and nobody works harder than he does. And so he's been a real positive that way.
He's made that trip to Haiti a couple of times now in the offseason. How do you think that's helped his development as a person and then spilling over into football?
You know, you'd have to ask him how much. I don't know how much that affects him, that one trip. But in the end, he's a guy that since the day he arrived here, he's more mature. You know, as an individual and as a person in the way he handles himself than about anybody I've ever been around. So you know, he's got incredible character.
And what effect have you seen that trip have on just your players in general?
Again, it's hard to say what, you know, it's you know, I believe it's really impacted them though in a positive way, and I think the guys, even though not everyone has gone, they brought it back to the other players in a way, in the way they are and in their experience and talking about it, and that's why I said even after the game, the team chemistry we have and the attitude is as good as I've ever been around. So. You know, so that maybe has something to do with it. I'm sure there's other things as well.
Got in the ball game late, or I don't know how much he got in the game. It looked like he was getting in crunch time. Weren't able to get it to him. How's he coming along, and do you see him becoming a bit more of an option?
Yeah, Micaiah continues to make improvement. It's one of those things you want to see it more and more in practice, and the consistency in practice, and the more he does it, he's a guy that we feel can make an impact, you know, in the way he plays.
Is that maturity you're talking about with Trevor, does that help him deal with weeks like this coming off of
I'm sure it does. You know, he understands in this position, you know, you're going to have ups and downs, and he'll handle it the right way.
The touchdown to Catalan, there was 3 receivers out there. It looked like there were 2 DBs. What's supposed to happen on that play defensively for you guys?
Say that?
It looked like the slot receiver ran like
no, again, they went to the line. They tempoed us. There were 4 receivers, not 3. We were late locating the 4th one, which is an unusual formation. Therefore, we didn't cover the one up the sideline. Still, we had a deep player, should have come off and played the deepest one, and he didn't do that. So, and he saw it. So it's just poor decision.
What's your thoughts about everybody getting beat Saturday?
I'm not. You know, I guess what it shows just the overall parity in college football in all leagues. You know, it's a challenge every week, and if you aren't, you know, if you're not at your best and don't play wisely, you're going to give it. You know, anyone can beat you, and you know, and that was the case with a lot of people.
Kentucky didn't get beat.
Yeah, that's a positive for Mark. I got to watch some of it, a little bit, not much.
Was that difficult for you personally?
Yeah, very, very much so. So that's why I didn't want to watch much of it. I just peeked at the score every now and then.
Bob, what's Texas doing offensively with Stoops? What's been your impression of him in the first couple of games you've seen him?
You know, he's a really big athletic guy. You know, they're running the football with him a little bit, but still, you know, they've got their passing game and trying to get it out. You know, he's doing a good job, I believe. You know, they're just running their offense with them like they always have. I mean, but again, he has the element of the opportunity to run, but they don't go overboard with it on how much he's running. And I'm sure, like us, at times you have, you know, be careful how much the quarterback's being hit. You know, that's always an issue. But again, I think he's doing a really good job. And you watch them; they're pretty efficient in everything that they're doing. They still got a good run game, you know, with it. And I'm sure they're, you know, trying to keep improving the passing game.
There was a holding penalty, so it didn't amount to much. But what happened on that crazy? What did you guys see on that crazy kickoff return, where they run it out of the end zone and turn and throw to the guy who's laying in the end zone?
Yeah, he just, you know, I hadn't seen that before, but and obviously our players on the right side hadn't either. I thought Quentin Hayes made an exceptional play to corral it the way he did on his own till help arrived and actually forced the holding penalty, you know, so we got away with it where they only had the ball at the 30. So again, Quentin made a huge play there, but yeah, I guess they just hit them out purple on purple, and nobody noticed them out there. It's something we'll pay closer attention to in the future. And
you can't plan for something like that, right?
Well, you can now, but so.
Does it help that you got Texas, that kind of game right after a loss, as opposed to maybe an opponent maybe didn't get your attention as much? I mean, I know you say every game's big, but.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's why anybody ought to have your attention after a loss, right? I mean,
Well, but it's Texas.
yeah, and if it was Oklahoma State, it'd be different, or if it was Tulsa or Baylor, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Whoever you're playing after a loss has your attention. I don't care who it is.
Bob, what do you see from Chuka? Great player, but he has the respect, it seems, of coaches and players. What is there?
He's a real mature guy. Has really, again, a big leader for us, Chuka. I think what he's done too, being the elder statesman of all those D linemen, he's become kind of like the uncle to them all, and it's really neat because he really a sharp young man and has worked hard, positive in everything that he does, and again, that's rubbed off on that whole group. And we've had some years in the past where maybe we've struggled a little bit in the overall attitude of that group, but he's a big reason why it's become one of the strengths of our team.
Trevor, on Saturday, I guess, talked about leg cramps, and is that something that you knew about or were dealing with, and is that something that also affects your accuracy when you're trying to plant?
Well, I'm sure it bothers you, definitely. I mean, he fought through it, but it does affect you, and and it's something, in some of the other games he hasn't run it as much or scrambled as much, so we haven't had that issue, and plus it was the middle of the afternoon, so the conditions were right for it. So that's something too that we've got to be more aware of, on Thursday and Friday, getting ready for it.
Blake Bell at Notre Dame last year, same problem.
Same scenario too, afternoon game, and had a few big runs, and that's again we got to pay attention to it.
How do you deal with that? How do you get your quarterback to not cramp?
Well,
or is it something that they're doing that makes them cramp?
You can't do anything once you're in the moment. You could have better preparation Thursday and Friday, and how. But I know Trevor and our people pay attention to his diet and what he's eating and drinking. But it may be a case that sometimes you can IV a guy on Thursday or Friday to give him a little bit extra fluids ahead of a competition.
Bob, this is Charlie Strong's first OU Texas game. What do you remember about your first game a few years ago?
Remember being up 17-0 and then ended up losing. So again, just trying to frustrated to get our guys to learn how to to win and finish through a game. So other than that, I don't know what else you're looking for. I don't.
What makes the game different?
It's really not. For us, the stakes all increased when they put us in the old Big 12. They put us in the same division, not only in the same conference, in the same division. So as opposed to being an out-of-conference game ahead of that, to me that increased the stakes tenfold. And then for how many years? I don't know how many years that was. It was one of us. I know us maybe 7 times. One of us was going to represent the South in the Big 12 championship game. For I don't know how many years it was. That's how it was. And again, it was we had it I think 7 times. So that you knew that was a big part of getting to that game. Now you're all in the same conference, so it's a little bit different, But I just look at it strategically on trying to win the conference. And outside of that, You pull the bus through the state fair. That's a little different than most places. You get on the field and it's always loud because half the stadium's one, OU, half's Texas. So that's a little different. As far as playing, nothing's different for us. You get ready the same. You've got to execute the same, and strategy-wise, nothing changes.
Will it be strange not coaching?
The atmosphere is just different.
Will it be strange not coaching against Mac Brown, and are there certain guys that you look forward to coaching
No,
against every year?
I don't see that different at all, because I'd be different if he and I were out there playing, but that isn't happening. So, and I've never looked at it across as an individual issue. You know, it's not for me.
Is there still a good dose of reading the zone read? It seems like it may not be as big a staple as it has been some.
No, there's it's still in there at times, and what you get a lot of is people make you hand it off, and so that's something. At times, if you feel the opportunity's there, you pull it once in a while.
Did you get a chance to see the TV copy yet of the TCU game?
No.
After and maybe I'm just reading this wrong. After the quarterback draw with 34 seconds left, 3rd and 4, they zoomed in on your face, and maybe it looked like you had a similar reaction to something that a lot of us did. It's like, I thought, a quarterback draw with no timeouts, 34 seconds, and you got 60 yards to go.
Yeah, I thought it was a great call.
You thought it was a great
call? In fact,
call?
I was all for it. Every other time we ran it in the day, what'd we get? 15, 20 yards and a first down. We needed a first down. You're forgetting that part, too.
You guys didn't know he was cramping?
Listen, he could have got 15, 20 yards if we had executed better. In the end, that play had been really good for us all day. You go back and watch the other plays that we ran it. That's the only one all day that it didn't go for a first down, 10 yards or more. So it seemed to me a pretty safe way to get 15 yards. And the clock stops, you forget, too. This isn't the NFL. The clock stops, that's a timeout. We'd be snapping the ball by the time they moved the chains, just like we would if we threw it down the field, caught it in bounds. When they moved the chains, we're at the line of scrimmage ready to snap it again. So that's no different in college football. It's different than the NFL. NFL, I'd never have called it. Right. It's different.
Incomplete pass, though, you throw it downfield, the clock stops. This thing, it doesn't work. Clock's running out, right?
Again, yeah. In hindsight, yeah. But
reward is what I'm getting at. There's a huge risk with taking that.
I like the call.
Coach, how will this week work? How much time will you spend reviewing TCU and going over that, and then putting that to bed and moving on to Texas? Or are you already done talking TCU?
Yeah, it's the same every Monday. It's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. They're the same every week. So this didn't change.
What jumps out at you about Texas' defense?
Pardon me?
What jumps out at you about Texas' defense?
Good discipline, really good players. You see really good physical players, on the other side of the ball, and they play hard. That's how Charlie's defenses have always looked.
Bob, after the way college football's been, who did you have atop your coaches' poll out?
I don't ever reveal that.
Was it more difficult this week than?
I did have Kentucky in there. Not at the top, of course.
Was it tough this week to see 8 teams or whatever it is, 6 of the top 8 go down? I can't remember.
Hey, I'm just.
To try to rank those, though.
Yeah, it's different. You're trying to study who lost to who and to where were they, and this, that, and the other thing. How the game went. You do your best to to get caught up on it.
Do you think the system will work out for you if you go unblemished the rest of the way?
Just worried about this week, down the road's a long way off. So for everybody, obvious by the way things all went for a lot of teams this weekend. So you just gotta, get ready to play this week. I think it's obvious. I said this earlier in my Big 12 call. Through the years, there's been a whole when there's only been 2 teams to qualify to get into championship game. How many one-loss teams have won it? Quite a few. LSU won it with 2 losses. So I don't know why it's much different. This year, there's 4 teams that are going to have a chance instead of 2. So we'll see.
Is it easier to get that message across to your players now, though, now that they know there's 4 teams? And
I'm sure they understand that, but we're worried about Texas this week, period.
Are you guys wearing the gold trim in the uniforms this week?
I don't know. I don't really care. So.
You're not wearing the throwbacks?
I don't believe so, no.
Bob, the run game had its moments, also had some struggles. With the way TCU played you, how'd you feel your run game was?
Inconsistent. Again, in the way we were, processing things there, we had more breakdowns just in the mental part of it than we had all year. and that's the part that we feel we can be better at, regardless of we're outside of TCU, and that's, you know, those are things that we got to get corrected. So inconsistent, and again, some because of some they defeated blocks and beat us. Some we had some decent plays. Sometimes we broke down mentally on what we were doing. So it needs to be, you know, can be better.
How do you kind of replicate, or how do you kind of combat teams trying to replicate that defense against you?
It wasn't anything magical. So again, give them credit. They play really well, and but it isn't. You know, we see what they're doing. We see that quite often from a lot of different teams. You know, they do it better than some other teams.
How much did they load the box? Not very much, was it?
Oh yeah.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
So, were you surprised? I thought your basic message, you didn't play well. Are you surprised you didn't play well?
Yeah, I felt just, again, the areas that I felt mentally in a lot of areas, I've said that earlier, we didn't play as well as we have in our previous 4 games.
My question on loading the box, there was a couple of times where they had 5 guys down there, and there was a play call. I guess it's a play call, or I don't know if it's a check, but he goes to pass the ball. Trevor passes the ball with 5 guys in the box.
Yeah, and they got 2 other guys sitting there hanging within 5 yards, ready to come back to the box. Yeah, and sometimes, again, you know, when you saw 5 in the box, it's probably 3rd and 10. And if we ran the draw, you'd have had a problem with that, you know, if it didn't get 15 yards like it did every other time.
What about the timeout situations, Bob, that you call?
Pardon me?
The timeouts on offense.
Yeah, you know, the last one, we didn't have enough guys on the line of scrimmage, and it was 2nd and 3. I didn't want it to be 2nd and 8. So I had to use our last timeout. Again, mental, and one of our better players. So, you know, again, those are you know, issues of, you know, we didn't play in a smart way.
Bob, it sounds like I know after the game you've maintained that guys were ready to go. It sounds like there wasn't not as alert.
We were ready to go. We didn't play well, you know, or well enough.
Alert though on some
No, we weren't. When you don't play smart, you're not alert, or you're not, you know, you're not paying attention to the little details, and that part of it was on us, you know. And we played a good football team that made more plays than us.
Mike said after the game that there were some factors working against you leading up to. Do you know what those might have been?
No.
Did you feel there were any working against you?
No, I didn't. I don't know what he's talking about.
You have spoken all preseason and even into the spring through the first 4 games glowingly about this team's maturity and handling their business and accountability and things like that. Is that the most shocking thing about Saturday? Is that the maturity or readiness or whatever it is was lacking?
I didn't say readiness was lacking. You said that.
No, he said
he said
alert.
that. You said that. I didn't say that.
You said you weren't alert.
I said we didn't play very smart. Okay. We didn't play very smart is what I said. We had a lot of issues mentally. That's what I said. Now you guys are saying why, not me.
Yeah, so is that the most surprising thing, is that you had
I've
been
said
good
that
at
already. I said that was the most disappointing thing, because this has been a group that's really paid good attention to detail.
Is TCU elevated their team this year? I mean, are they a Big 12 contender, do you think? Are they?
Absolutely.
Can you expound any?
No. I mean, they've got good players, and you know, so Gary does an excellent job. So whatever else you want.
Bob, do you have any issue with the way the conference schedule is set up for you guys, playing those two road games and then going to Dallas this weekend before you play a home game?
You know, it's not ideal, but you know, that's just what it is, just how it is.